There's probably only 3 numbers that carry more fascination and definitely more fear in the Porsche world than 911, and they are 917. Back in March 1969 at the Geneva Motor Show, this car was unveiled that ended up becoming the all-conquering, absolute, devastatingly successful race car, the 917. And I'm in Essex today, outside a regular garage, about to see a truly obsessive recreation of one of these cars. Not only that, it's road legal, and we're going to go out for a drive in it. The 2 people behind it, Dave and John. Dave and John, come in. You're going to have
Jonny?
to talk. Hello, guys. I know you guys have lived and breathed this for a decade.
Yes, and affectionately nicknamed 10 Years of Lunacy.
So before we delve in, I just want to say thanks for inviting me along. I know I've been wanting to come and see this car for a long time. You have to see this. Every inch of it is so wonderful. It's quite something. Open the garage door and reveal it to me. Because this year there is no Geneva Motor Show. So we're going to do it in a normal garage. Please, gents, reveal to me the 917K by Icon. Look at that. This is not something you usually see in a cul-de-sac in Essex. But what a thing, gosh. Oh, I almost forgot. I'm Jonny Smith. Welcome to the Late Break Show. Dave, John, this is brilliant. You're in a regular, what looks like this is your regular garage,
Yep.
Dave. You've got old bits of wood, old bits of steel sheet, a radiator, paint. This is what we normally see.
Spare windscreens,
Is that what that is?
2 of them.
This is, I mean, it's stunning. It is absolutely stunning, I have to say. So 10 years to get this far,
Yeah.
but as accurate as you could get a 917 Porsche that's been IVA'd, it's got a registration number on it, you can take it to the shops,
Yeah.
/ school run.
Yeah.
What a thing. Where does this start? Because I don't know huge amounts about the 917. What I do know is 1969, Geneva Motor Show.
Yeah.
They had to build 25 of them to get type approved. They went racing and they just destroyed everybody from
Yeah.
about, what, 70 to 73?
70 and 71, and then they were banned from the 5 litre category, was stopped because the FIA wanted Matra to win the Le Mans in 72, which they did.
Right.
With Graham Mill driving, I think. And then they went on to race in 72, 73 in the Can-Am series with the Spiders. There were 25 original that were shown to the FIA in 69.
There's that picture of them all
Yeah.
lined up, isn't there?
Exactly.
With chassis number 1 at the front, which Porsche rebuilt
Yeah.
2 years ago, 3 years ago.
On the front
Yeah.
of Octane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
This is featured in that magazine.
Yeah, it was. I think that might have been the first time I saw this.
Had a green nose on it then to replicate the
25.
original one.
That's
So
right.
I think over the years they built about 50 in total, including Spiders and the long tails. I mean, you take the Bugatti Veyron
Yeah.
now, okay, everyone says, oh, 250 miles an hour. I think it was Quick, Vic Elford, Jack Oliver, Sifford, Rodriguez. They were clocked at doing, in the K's, 220 mile an hour down the Molson.
220 in 1970.
In
All the way down
1970.
the old
Mulsanne
Mulsanne
straight.
without the chicanes.
And a
But that
long
was steady speed. That was continuum. So,
continuum.
yeah.
And the Langhek, the LH, which was a long tails, I think it was, I've got a clipping somewhere.
249?
No, 241.
Was it?
Vic Elford, I think, in 1971 Le Mans test day in May.
Gosh.
So, you know,
This has a flat 6. The original cars had a flat 12.
Yeah.
the flat 12 engine didn't enter into series production in any other car, did it?
No, it's
It
a
was
rare
just made
commodity.
for this.
It was purely
racing.
made for this to win Le Mans.
Where did this quest start? How on earth do you start with something like this?
Well, the original catalyst was being at Brands on April the 12th, 1970, to watch Pedro Rodriguez win the BOC 1,000 kilometres at Brands Hatch in the wet.
You saw that?
I was there as a 13-year-old, yeah. As you do as a 13-year-old, you think, I want one of those cars.
And then you realise even if you had a lot of money and went into a Porsche dealership, you probably can't get one of them.
Well, neither of us are rock stars, and neither of us are whizzes up cities, but our skills, our engineering, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was the catalyst. That was the first one, and the second one was a set of body panels coming up on Pistonheads in August 2011.
So
And
11 years ago, a set of body panels came up for sale,
yes.
and you bought them.
Yeah, they were. The reason I went for them is they came from moulds taken from David Piper's car, 917 number 10. And as we discussed earlier, I understand, having worked with the studios, how difficult it is to replicate the shapes.
Yeah.
And I went out and bought them. Paid the man 25% over what they were on eBay for, just to secure them that on the Sunday.
So you've recreated it. Obviously, the body panels came from a real car.
Yeah.
So it's the same dimensions.
Yes. Yep.
And you can't get a flat 12 engine. So, or if you could,
I think the last one that sold was at Goodwood, wasn't it, John?
Went bonkers money.
How much?
1.4 million, we believe,
Yeah, 1.4
euros.
million euros, yeah.
I have had someone talk to me via Facebook or Messenger through our website and that, who said they could supply them for around 650,000.
really,
That's just the engine. No
so
transmission.
no ancillaries, or
No transmission.
I'm not sure about the ancillaries. The one that sold for 1.4 had all the ancillaries.
okay.
But the 650, I'm not sure. I didn't really pursue that, because even if I sold the house, cashed in my pension plans and put the wife in a caravan,
Yeah.
which isn't really fair on my poor wife, I couldn't afford to buy an engine. But
It's true.
with John's skills, that's our next project.
Yep.
Right behind you, there's a pair of K24 GT3 turbos.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's to
That's the next stage.
design those and get them installed on this. So that'll take the power from like 270 to 600.
Yeah.
But then the next stage is we're going to try and reverse engineer the flat 12.
Are you?
Take a couple of 3 years, and we might need some finance for the tooling. So
Yeah, it's perfectly feasible. And having some very, very good drawings of the original, and particularly dimensions, that's the one critical thing. It's a very, very, if you like, from an engineering point of view, straightforward, but costly exercise.
So,
So
you've put an enormous
that's-
amount of
that's
your
the biggest
time,
Yeah.
as well as your own money, into
Yeah.
getting this car off
Yeah.
the ground.
yes. Yeah.
And presumably, at the moment, there is only one of them. To the viewers watching this, you can buy one of these. You can
Yep.
order one.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole car lives in CAD, because not only does it live in this double garage, it lives in my laptop in the house.
Does it?
Because that's where it's all been designed.
Yeah.
And we've got jigs for everything. There's the passenger seat moulding there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got jigs for the chassis.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I was reading.
Suspension.
I was reading
Everything.
some of the ingredients for this car is phenomenal.
Yeah, we've got our own wheel patterns
Yeah.
and several sizes of wheels as
Yeah.
well, so track sizes and also for road usage.
Yeah.
So you've got. I mean, yeah. You got an exhaust which passes decibels
Yeah.
for the IVA. These are cast magnesium centerlock
Yeah.
accurate wheels. I mean, Blimminack, I would hate to know how much time and money they cost.
No,
just
we're
to-
not cheap. That's one of the big
You've
expenses.
got
on the road, yeah.
electrically adjustable 3D printed
Yeah.
accurate mirrors.
Yeah. I had to get those because the originals sit on the top of the wings, and I went to the first IVA, and I knew I wouldn't be able to see the lines.
Oh.
You have a complete blind spot here. So I designed a tripod system to get me through the IVA, and then I designed these, to all in CAD again.
Yeah.
but yeah.
Some of the the diagrams for this are incredible. I mean, we can't take the body off today, but we'll show you some pictures of what it looks like as the sort of the spider's web of tubing. You'll probably know all these stats up by alpha. So we got 217 tubes.
Yeah, approximately. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay. And then there's I read something about 220 brackets.
Yeah, for the suspension.
For the suspension, anti-roll bar.
Yeah.
The steering rack mounts, and an additional 80 to mount ancillaries like the body, the dash, the fuel tank, etc. T45 round tube.
Yeah.
In 5 different diameters, as per the original.
Yeah, the originals are an aluminium chassis.
Yeah.
But for road legality and also for the FIA, if we wanted to try and we're working with a customer to try and to get FIA approval on a rolling chassis.
Okay.
So it's involved quite a lot of changes in the CAD models at the back. But originals rally, but obviously for road and FIA steel. And John, I was thinking chrome moly, but John recommended T45.
Okay. It is a chrome moly.
Yeah,
like,
but a specific.
Yeah, no, T45 is good because it doesn't brittle.
Anything I ever read about the 917, I got the impression that obviously lightness was the number one. Lightness and power was the number one factor. Build quality was probably not Porsche's finest hour, but how light was the original?
The original chassis was 48 kilos in aluminium, the K with the short tail.
Yeah.
Our chassis is about 117.
Okay.
If you multiply up the 2.7 for alley to steel, then we should have come in around about 235. So we could maybe take some more weight out of the chassis by reducing the wall stocks because it's incredibly rigid.
It looks unbelievable as a bare bird cage.
Yeah, it's almost 3 times better rigidity than the actual original 917.
Yeah,
because it was really quite a flexible car, the original 917.
Yeah,
it is seriously.
It is a better built car than the original 917.
In effect, yes.
Yeah.
Let's get it out. So one thing we hadn't anticipated when I arranged this feature was that I might not fit in the car. I hadn't thought of it, and you only mentioned it when I turned up and was drinking coffee, and you were like, "How you look quite tall? How tall are you?" I'm like, "I'm about 6'3", 6'2" and a bit." I went, might not fit in the car. I'm staying very quietly optimistic.
Yeah, it might fit actually, Jonny.
Yeah, well, you know. Bloody hell. It's like...
Shut the door.
Okay.
There's padding up here so you can rest the top of your head on this.
Yeah. Oh, bloody hell. Oh, yeah, okay. That's...
Right.
Yeah, that's... Yeah, you know, that's all right. I mean, obviously it's snug. It was never going to be a loose fit, but I don't want anyone else in with me. There's no bloody room. This is going to be fun on the road, isn't it? I'll do the lunch run, yeah?
Come on, dear.
An original 917 with a flat 12 in it, but nevertheless, it's a road car. Hello, kid. The kids are on a school run. Can't quite see the lights. Right. I'm short shifting just to get used to it, to be honest. It's such an alien driving position and ultra sensitive controls actually. This car is 37 inches in height. So lower than a GT40 Ford, which is 40 inches. So on my right, gear shift, wooden ball, exposed rose jointed linkage. On the right also here in the sort of sill area, the door area, you've got all your switches, including electric mirrors, which is concealed there. On the left, I have got actually a reversing camera because you can't see a lot, to be completely honest. Because it's such a sunny winter's day with that low sun, you know, getting sun coming through the bubble, this sort of acrylic plexiglass conservatory, if you will. I can't even imagine what this would have been like, a real one of these, flat 12, 580 horsepower in 69, 70. You can find an original Porsche flat 12, costs you about 1.2, 1.3 million euros. So bearing in mind you can order one of these cars complete, customised to your spec for less than £250,000. And the reason why it's more than this sort of equivalent Ford GT40 recreation is because so much more work in the chassis apparently. Labour time to create that spider's web of a chassis. There aren't really any road legal 917s. Well, there's one owned by a chap called Count Rossi, and that's it. And they're a 15 million quid car if they ever come up for sale. And David Piper, who owns an original, bought one new in 69, still has it. I think he's 91 or 92 years old. That's what the body moulds for this were taken from. Bloody hell. Everything's just so sensitive and exciting. But you've got to focus, you feel vulnerable. And that's accurate to the 917, even though this is actually a safer, better made car, arguably, than the originals ever were. And there's only 25 originals of the K, the short tail. But yeah, it's got heated windscreen, Pilkington glass, Titan steering rack, race steering rack, the beautiful rose jointed billet hub suspension, those cast magnesium centre lock rims, 10.5 J at the back, 8.5 J at the front. There's a lot to be said about a recreation of an original, you know, remedying the wrongs, perhaps making it a little bit more enjoyable to use in a different situation like this, on the road. I've got no problem with that at all. It allows it to exist. It allows people to enjoy it or see it in a different light. No, it's not an original. Find an original 917 road car. Go on. I bloody dare you. But I kind of keep my bum right in the base of the seat to maximise my headroom. Just for the purposes of any prospective customers of this car. I'm 6'3". The pedal box fits me fine, my knees just fit in. If I squat down a little low, I can just fit my head in. I'm glad I don't have a full head of hair anymore today. Okay, so at the front here, that's the oil cooler, right?
Yep.
It's big. And this beautiful triangulated section of the chassis, which has got the master cylinder and everything bolted to the reservoir. I can't believe how close your pedal box is to that point.
Yeah.
You were saying that windscreen you've had to have specially made?
Yep, we've got our own tooling for that. Pilkington Classics were brilliant, and it's E-marked for legality.
And heated?
And heated.
Heated, because it's practical, right? This is a practical car.
Well, and there's a little fan here, and that blows warm air. Got a little heater in here that blows warm air out into the ducts, which is another IVA requirement for defrost.
Tell me about the suspension, because I know the suspension on this car is particularly trick.
Well, basically recreated from the originals, using multiple drawings that are available. So, and then I remember I had a book from 1972, race car design book that I bought when I was young because I wanted to go into race car design.
Yeah.
And I found the roll centres for a 917 in it. There's 3 pages in there. And so I set the roll centres up in the cab models. The front was more or less spot on and the rear was about 15mm out. But it was the right side. It's higher at the rear than it is at the front. So, and you've driven it the most, and
Honestly, the handling is utterly stunning.
Is it?
It's as the only thing to describe it is a go-kart on steroids. Yeah.
It
on track.
It looked hilarious.
It's so
following
planted.
You on the road.
It's so planted.
We'll move to the back, but we cannot ignore the fact the doors open authentically and held on with authentic bungee cords, like the Works race team used to do.
Well, that's right. If you look at the original pictures of when they built them, you'll see bits of string holding the doors open because the mechanics got fed up with the doors hitting their heads.
Because they're so featherweight.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's go and have a look around the back. You're a design engineer by trade,
Yeah.
right? And I know you've worked for various car manufacturers, you still do.
Yep.
You're more about...
I'm a mechanical engineer.
Talk me through this. 964 flat 6?
Yeah, just bog standard. We kept it bog standard for a very simple reason. It was going to go on the road.
Yeah.
We had to meet some emission requirement,
Yeah.
which I think was probably version 4 Euro.
Yeah.
So management system is very up to the minute.
Yeah.
So keeping it standard, it was fairly soft and much easier to get emissions.
So it's 3.6
3.6
Gen V throttle
Gen V
bodies.
Yeah. We use all the latest type of injectors, all the EV series from Bosch.
Yeah.
Very programmable, and it runs basically a race spec setup fuel system in the fact that it's got a lifter pump, and then it's got the high pressure pump, and then we go through a couple of regs. One to control fuel road pressure, and then the other one to contain the pressure into the, if you like, the swirl pump.
Yeah.
So the whole system is stable and it's great for track use. It's also suitable, fine for road use.
And that's a 964 gearbox?
It's a G50.
Right,
G50
okay.
gearbox, that's its technical spec number. So yeah, it's a good, solid, very good gearbox. And then the other thing particularly did with this was we looked at engine mounting positions and gearbox mounting positions, because I know on a lot of, if you like, kit cars, including some very well known ones, when you use this transmission,
Yeah.
which has been widely used by many people, the mountings for the gearbox normally hang right at the back of the car.
Okay.
So I did look very dynamically at how the weight distribution was going to be. So the mounting system, if in effect, is on the axle line or just behind it and forwards. So you haven't got that massive swing weight, pendulum weight.
At the rear.
Yeah. You're controlling your weight transfer by where your engine mountings are in effect.
There's actually quite a lot of space
Masses.
here, isn't there?
Yeah.
When you lift this deck up like you have with your special sort of broom handle thing.
But they used to use brooms.
Yeah,
They did?
Oh yeah, you
What?
can find,
An official 917 broom?
Yeah, find
official
them,
917 broom. Yeah.
You can obviously see all the naked suspension and rose joints and the high spec. Is it four
Calipers on the back.
pot calipers at the rear, 6 at the
6
front?
on the front. Yeah, radical GT3/4 brakes.
Weight was my question, because obviously weight is one of the big things of the 917 when it originally came out. Am I right in thinking this is 940 kilos wet, which is 65 litres of fuel and 15 litres of oil on board?
Yeah, 940. The originals ran around, I think the 1971 winner, the Martini car, was a magnesium frame, and they had to overfill the oil to get it up to the minimum 800 kilograms for the...
Did they?
Yeah, but the normal 917Ks were more like about, I think, 850-ish, pushing 900 fully fueled.
So this is 940 completely wet and fully road legal? including
Yes,
a fog
yes.
light.
Yeah.
I was saying you've got a reversing light, fog
Yeah.
light. It's got it all.
Yeah.
Reverse cameras, yeah.
There's about, I reckon, 20 kilos of road legality in it that you could take out. The body shell is very thick, glass fibre, and we've had 2 body shells made because we took moulds from this.
Yeah.
And they're a lot lighter, so I reckon there's another 10, 15 kilos that will come out of the body shell.
Actually does feel quite substantial.
It is,
when you lifted that
Yeah,
deck up.
it's
You
very
could probably
heavy.
pare it down to what the original was, and,
Yeah.
and you've got chrome moly steel frame
Yeah.
instead of alley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
it's
there's
so
not-
much more original.
What you're saying is the customer has options.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, John's car is going to be purely track focused, whereas this is a balance between road and track. So, yeah, but need more power. I think we concluded that. That's why.
Well, Dave's
Well, you're
bought
used
the
to it now.
turbos.
Yeah.
Dave's bought the turbos, and I've shown him pretty much how the system will work.
Yep.
And
And
we've
Are you basically running it in at
Yeah.
270 horsepower?
Yeah.
You've proved the recipe worked,
Yeah.
and now it's time. Right, everything's okay now. Let's look forward. Let's double the power.
Yeah.
And see what happens then.
It's going to be a proper race car when it's
Oh, bloody hell, is it?
600 plus. Yeah.
Did you say that this used to be, or had to be, official luggage space?
Yes, to get the vehicle homologated, they have to have a passenger seat back in '69, and they had to be able to show that they got luggage. And one of the main differences is that we haven't got a spare wheel, because the originals had a spare wheel sat in here.
And was that mandatory?
That was mandatory.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Sort of get
this
your
is the
home
luggage
type-
area.
Type wheel.
But we're
So
in the
you need some Superleggera luggage as well now.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, with our name on.
Yeah, you do. It'll be
As
ace.
you said, yeah. 'Cause you've
Right. So looking to the future, it's going to be even more practical.
we could make it much more practical, yes.
Wow. Okay. I'm looking forward to the future of this. I'm not going to mess with the pickup truck in this. Time to navigate rush hour traffic. Oh, that sound under the flyover. Amber gambler, amber gambler. Oh, it's just thunder, isn't it? It's just thunder. I've got to say, I really like the brakes. 300mm discs at the front, 280 at the back, 6 pot calipers at the front, 4 pots at the back. The brake pedal's really, really sharp. I like it. It's the driving posture which takes a bit of getting used to be honest. All this exposed glass fibre, just like the original. It was an ultra diet car. That's what it was about. Bare minimum everywhere. All about an exercise in power to weight. But not only that, the idea with the 917 was obviously to go out and just win at the Le Mans 24 hour. So it had to be as fast as a Formula 1 car, but reliable enough to drive flat out for 24 hours. No point in being unreliable, not good enough. Apparently it's good in the dry, horrific in the wet with these particular tyres. It's a car you'd buy to challenge yourself, to get a little feel of what it was like in 1970. Those Gen V throttle bodies and the exhaust system are just amazing. Welcome to the Late Road Show. I'm Jonny Smith, and well, we're just popping to get a sandwich actually. Wow, that's when it starts to on this. The driving position's interesting, arms fully outstretched really, but actually comfortable in the bum department and in the pedal box department. I'm just acutely aware of my feet are so far away, out there somewhere. Just for a couple of hours today, I'm going to be the Steve McQueen of Essex. I'm exceptionally pleased that a car like this actually exists. Bearing in mind they only ever made 25 of the original 917, and normal people can't even buy them, and you sure as hell can't drive one on the road. And what I love about recreations of this level that are so dedicated is that in a way they're kind of better. You could look at this in a way of going, it's £250,000 if you were to order one of these from David and John as a turnkey car. But what do you compare it to? Honestly, what do you compare it to? I think it's wonderful. I think it's absolutely wonderful. I've had a hell of a time, and there's not a lot like it. And in a world now where driving has become more sanitized, I think this sort of thing, this analog, raw, frisky driving experience is going to become more and more attractive. Don't you think? I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Late Break Show. If you haven't already subscribed, why not subscribe? If you want early access to videos like this and extra info, then why not become one of our Patreons? I'll put a link for Patreon in the description below. Cheers.